Welcome back to Thriving in Intersectionality. Before I start today's conversation with my guest, I wanted to pause for a moment and talk about why I was really looking forward to having this conversation. This podcast is called Thriving in Intersectionality, and I think when we think about intersectionality and identity layers, we often think about race, gender, culture, and so many other things, mostly visible differences. But ability, learning differences, and the way people experience education systems are also deeply connected to how people move through the world. And dyslexia is one of those experiences that impact far more people than many realize. Dyslexia is a learning difference that primarily affects reading, spelling, and language processing, but it does not reflect intelligence or capability. In fact, many people with dyslexia are highly creative, they're strategic thinkers, they're problem solvers. And still, for many of these people, it shows up early in life as frustration in school. And over time, that frustration can become shame, self-doubt, feeling behind, feeling misunderstood, or quietly believing they are not intelligent because they process information differently. And a lot of times we carry that with us into school, into college, into workplaces, in life. And what struck me most in this conversation with Russell is that this was not just a conversation about reading. It really was a conversation about identity, about confidence, about systems, about labels, about parenting, about potential. And Russell lived it, and he's also spent years working in it. There's a huge gap that he saw, and he created solutions, but he also has lived experience. So, what happens when people are seen only through what they struggle with instead of what they are capable of? That's what he's worked on. And as someone that often speaks about belonging and human potential, I think these conversations matter because workplaces, schools, and even families are still learning how to support people beyond narrow definitions of success or intelligence. It brings both professional insight and deep personal conviction into this conversation, and we went deep very quickly. So I recorded this intro to provide our context. And whether you are a parent, an educator, a leader, someone navigating dyslexia yourself, or simply someone trying to better understand how people experience the world differently, I hope this is one of those conversations that expands how you think about all of these and how you learn to thrive in intersectionality and support the people in your circle to thrive in intersectionality. Let's get into the conversation. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Thriving in Intersectionality podcast. I love curating the space. I love the wide range of guests that I bring, and I love shedding light on the word intersectionality as a start. I came across this word intersectionality a few years ago through the work of Kimberly Crenshaw, and she's done a lot of research around the experience. She had a social science research a couple of years ago around race and gender. She was doing studies on Black women experience. So I love to highlight that in case anyone is looking to learn more about the word and the work that Kimberly Crenshaw is doing. Feel free to check out our work. But when I think of that word, what exactly does intersectionality mean? I ground it in this brief explanation. Intersectionality itself is a framework that recognizes how multiple aspects of identity, such as gender, race, ethnicity, immigration status, class, among so many others, how all of these identity categories overlap and interact, creating very unique experiences of privilege or discrimination. And you can't understand these by examining a single one of these. What makes it unique is how it's really layered for everyone. And so I love using this framework and this lens to explore how leaders have grown and how we see our identities and our context, how it shapes the work that we currently do. And I have a great guest here with me today that I've been trying to lock down for a while, and I'm so excited to have Russell here. finally, because I think, sometimes when we think of the word intersectionality, we picture a certain individual, we picture visible differences, we picture whatever we think we have in mind. But we are all very layered, and what you think you know is usually not what you know about people. So today I'm going to bring Russell on. Russell Van Brocklen is a dyslexia professor, and he shifts daily reading frustrations into confident academic wins for students facing dyslexia. But he's so much more than that, and I'm going to let him introduce himself through his lens. Hi, Russell. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on here. All right, so let's get to know you a little bit more beyond the title. When you think of the word intersectionality, Russell, what aspects of your life and experience have most shaped how you show up, how you see yourself and your work in the world today?
Well, I think the intersection best represents what actually got me to do this, because this was the last thing I was ever supposed to do with my life. I was supposed to be a bureaucrat for the state government in New York State. What happened was it was the late 90s. I was finishing up college, and I just had an inkling to want to know how laws were created. Now, some class I wanted to know, so I signed up for the New York State Assembly internship program, which was just absolutely insanely ridiculous, because I showed up and I said, here's my neuropsychological evaluation. I have a first grade reading and writing ability, which meant I couldn't do the internship the way it was designed. So the speaker at the time was Sheldon Silver, and his office pretty much made the decision that they were going to accommodate the living daylights out of me. They got a senior committee together to figure out what to do with me, and they literally took me out of the legislative office building and brought me over to the Capitol, where I was placed in the Majority Leaders Program and Council's office that ran the assembly day to day, and they had no idea what to do with an undergrad. So they treated me like a graduate student, and which was a real internship. Now, when I walked in, I immediately see why they did it. They had 3 administrative assistants that could help take my horrendous writing and turn it into something that I could turn in each week. Went great. Academic portion, I did an hours-long Q&A, a paper and a Q&A, instead of the standard research paper, which was a standard accommodation for me back then. They wrapped everything up together, recommended 15 credits of A-. Then they sent it back to the State University of New York Political Science Department. And they looked at the accommodations and they didn't like them. Now, you're a PhD. You are certainly qualified to be a university professor. They looked at these massive accommodations and decided to lower my grade from 15 credits of A-. What do you think they lowered it to?
Oh, I don't know.
15 credits of F. They flunked me. 29 years later, that's still on my record, the only time in the history of that program. And that program's been around for like 50 plus years, with hundreds of students going through it each year. I'm the only one that this has ever happened to.
Oh, wow.
So then I went to my professors and I said, I am done with the discrimination. I'm going to solve dyslexia, like thousands of people before me, tens of thousands. I actually did. So what happened is I asked, where can I go to grad school to force myself to learn to read and write? And my professor said, well, if you like politics, it's obvious, law school. So I went to audit 2 law school classes. In my contracts class, my professor was a professor longer than I was alive at that point. So on the second day of class, he called on me. Are you familiar with how they operate in law school?
Not really, not the full details.
Okay. Well, they use the Socratic method. So if you don't know what the answer is, they will ask you questions you can't answer, which nobody does the first week, until they ask you questions you can't answer to embarrass you publicly until you eventually adapt. Well, that didn't happen to me. I didn't respond as a student. I responded as the professor's equal. He started asking me questions. I responded, and then I started attacking him, which kind of shocked him. And then we're going back and forth. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nobody's ever heard of anything like this. Finally, he throws up his arms and he says, Russell, You couldn't be any more correct. In the interest of time, I have to move on to the next case. Okay. I learned to read in a month. I learned to write within a couple of years. Then I go back to the New York State Senate and I said, I solved dyslexia. I want you to fund my dyslexia research program, which they don't do. But my senator was the majority leader of the Senate. His name was Senator Bruno. So he sent me over to the education department, his educational aide, and I walk in. Now, you have to remember, this guy runs the Senate, so they have to take me very seriously. They said, where is this out of? And I said, Buffalo. They said, okay, we want a New York State distinguished professor in psychology to evaluate this. And we want a recommendation, a good report. And if we don't get it back, then you're done. But they would pay for it. So I go out there. I'm like, this can't be hard. Famous last words. There were 2 distinguished professors in psychology in entire Western New York. The one who gave me my original evaluation happens to be one of them. Her name was Dr. Irene Halichka. So she went over to the Buff State psychology department and said, what is the most insane evaluation I can give this kid? And which she was the previous chair and dean. And so that she got it. Then I sat down for 20 hours over 3 days with the smartest woman I ever met. And she's beating me up like you can't believe to make sure this is real. At the end, she said, I evaluated this kid a couple of years ago. His reading and writing, as I'm confirming again, without accommodations, at he's like a 6-year-old. When his accommodation is turned on, when his system is turned on, it's like a light switch, his writing jumps up to about the 70th percentile of entering grad students. And it turns off, it goes back down to first grade. Here's 5 pages explaining what's going on. Essentially, we're going from the part of the brain that doesn't work to one that works, and vice versa. I bring the report back to the education department. They weren't expecting this. At that point, they said, okay, you got to connect this to current research. So I go back to Buffalo, and there's one person that makes any sort of sense. His name was Professor James Collins, full professor. He wrote a book called Strategies for Struggling Writers, found default writing strategies of copying, visualization, narrative. $1.5 million research grant from the U.S. Education Department. As you remember, to get the approval of a final paper from a professor was supposed to take years. How long do you think it took me?
Months?
Under 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's fast.
Yes. Are you noticing I'm doing really well in grad school here? So Then I go and I had to do that because there's a university-wide competition I entered, of which I got second place for $15,000. So then we went and tested it out on our first student. I wanted everybody to know I cheated. I wanted to work initially with students like me. Extremely motivated, extremely intelligent. Okay? Juniors and seniors that were dyslexic. They all had middle school writing skills. So her name was Michaela. She was reading and writing at the 8th grade level, 17-year-old college junior. Now, I want you to tell me honestly, brutally honestly, if you have an 8th grade writing skill and you're going to college, what's going to happen?
If you have an 8th grade writing skill.
Yes, you're writing like a 13-year-old. Yeah,
okay.
What's going to happen in college? Are you going to pass or are you just going to flunk out? Honestly.
With the way our system is set up, you will flunk out.
Yes. Okay. So I decided to give them the writing skills of a college graduate before they entered school. So do you remember when you took the GRE?
Yeah.
Do you remember the writing assessment?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we gave Michaela. Think about it. She's a 17-year-old high school junior with an 8th grade writing skill, and we give her a writing assessment for people who have graduated from college, applying to grad school. How do you think she did?
Well, now that I'm seeing the trend here, beyond expectation, I would say.
No, she scored in the 0 percentile.
So what was the purpose of trying to get that foundation established? Is that
remember, this is the pre-test. I haven't worked with her.
Pre-test. Oh, okay. This is before working with her. Okay.
Dr. Halichka, the SUNY Distinguished Professor in Psychology, is the evaluator, and she's really hard on us because this is her reputation. She said the spelling and grammar were absolutely atrocious. The ideas are over the place, 0 percentile.
Right.
5 months later, What do you think she increased to?
After working with you?
Yes, 5 months later.
I don't know. I
About
don't
the
know what to
50th
expect now.
percentile.
Wow. Okay.
Spelling and grammar jumped to clean at the grad level.
The same assessment. The same
Yes, but
assessment.
think about this. Horrendous spelling and grammar 5 months later, clean at the grad level.
Mm.
She's okay. Next student, I asked for really intelligent and really bad. His name was Adam. 19-year-old high school senior. He was held back twice. His writing was so bad, Dr. Holichka wanted him banned from college. Okay, he did horrendous. Increased his writing to the 70th percentile. Then we got the funding from New York State. Now, I had to train a teacher to do this. My competition takes 2 years. Literally, $11,000, 2 years to become certified. We had their best special. It was back in the Averill Park Central School District, right outside of Albany, New York, our state capital, in New York State. This is where I went to high school. Susan Ford was their best teacher. Okay, she learned the process. Guess how long it took her? Hours. That's it. Hours.
For the training for her to be able to administer.
Yes, my competition is 2 years. She learned this in hours.
Okay.
She rewrote it to meet her teaching style and who she's working with. We kept the student to teacher ratio at 5-1, and then the next year 6-1, because that's about what the private dyslexic schools are. The kids entered. They were super motivated, super intelligent juniors and seniors. They had readings and writing skills at the 7th or 8th grade level. They increased most of them essentially scored the 0 percentile on the GRE. One class period a day for the school year. They ended up scoring the 30th to 70th percentile of their grad students. They all went on to college. They all graduated GPAs at 2.5 to 3.6. Now, the best competition had at the time was Landmark College. We were 3x as successful as they were for less than 1% of the cost. They were over $100,000. I was under $900 all in. And that's how I got started.
Well, we went pretty deep pretty quickly. Because I was like, okay, I that's how you got started. No, but that's not how you got started. I want to know, well, maybe for those listening, I mean, I already introduced Russell is a dyslexia professor, so you know why we went deep pretty quickly. But I want to know about you. When did you get diagnosed?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a bit more painful of a story. I just gave you the more interesting part. So for me, when I was held back in pre-first. Instead of going to first grade after kindergarten, I went to pre-first, held back for a year, and they thought that would help and did nothing. And then in third grade,
did you get diagnosed already, or did they just think
they did some crappy diagnosis, nothing real?
Okay.
So until Dr. Holichka gave me that neuropsych, okay, I was like, my mid-20s by that point. Until she did that, I didn't know what the heck was going on. Wow. Not really good. So what happened was they put me in special ed in third grade, said it wasn't a punishment. It was. What it really affected me was I had two relatives on the Mayflower. I had the religious leader, who was a relative, and the colony's biggest malcontent as a relative. So they had this major project in fifth grade and on the Pilgrims, which I couldn't do because I was in special ed. Hated it. So finally in seventh grade, I had a neighbor. He and his son got our Eagle Scouts at the same time. I was 17, he was 16. And he was on the school board. And through my parents, I said, you got to get me out of this thing. He said, I can do one class. So I did history in 8th grade. Couldn't read or write worth a darn. I could force myself to read a little bit during tests, and I got hundreds on every test and every quiz. I didn't study. I just remembered what the teacher said. And I won the history award for being the best history student in my grade. And then I went into all college prep classes. We called them regents at the time in New York State. I had an 86.5 average the first semester, 95.5 the fourth of my class. And they said, well, you're never going to amount to anything. You're going to be a janitor. After that, I just didn't care about grades. Got through school, stumbled through college, until what I told you just happened.
Until that experience. And I do, I do really like to push a little bit for you to share that, because again, I think there's a lot of people, this podcast is about intersectionality and our own identity, and there's a lot of people that struggle through school the same way you did. Can you say a little bit more about what dyslexia is for anyone listening that doesn't understand it? Maybe start intentionally.
Then let's go to the top book in the field. Oh, this is
I see the name.
Yeah, it's Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shaywitz, and I don't know if we can get this.
I'll put the link on the show note.
Okay, well, the main thing that I'm trying to do is show you.
You can take out the background if you need to.
Yeah, how do I do that?
Go back to settings and remove the background, because I think it's worth taking a look at what you're showing us.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just going to keep it like that. This is the book Overcoming Dyslexia by Dr. Sally Shaywitz. Okay. That's dyslexia. So do you see how the back part of your brain has this massive neuroactivity?
Non-impaired.
See how the back part, yep. See how you have all this? See how the back part of mine has nothing? See how the front part of my brain's about 2.5 times overactive?
Yeah.
This deals with word analysis followed by articulation. That's what I focus on.
And so your lived experience, your own life experience kind of started from what you experienced at school, growing up with education, with this non-properly diagnosed thing that really has impacted.
Well, you can diagnose it, but the thing is that here's the horrible truth about what's going on. If you contact Yale when the kid's in kindergarten, they can literally teach the teachers how to find dyslexia, and it's like $40-$50. The teacher does it. You find out who's dyslexic and who's not. If you got 200 kids in a grade, if there goes $10,000 out of a school district with a budget into tens of millions. Once you find out they're dyslexic, Yale has programs that have been peer reviewed for decades. Okay. I mean, they knew about this before you were born. All right. The Gower Schools was celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. This is the original dyslexic school. And then you follow that from kindergarten through 3rd grade. By the end of 3rd grade in the United States, we take a reading test. Because K through 3, we learn to read. 4th and above, we read to learn. If you pass that test, you're going to be fine statistically. If you fail it, it's a 911 emergency. And then you go to a $75,000 a year private school for 4 to 5 years. Okay? I've dropped that. I work with parents. I show them how to do it for $147 a month by focusing on the front part of the brain. So that's the frustration. Right. Everybody should be doing this. Nobody does. Federal judges call it gross negligence. They force schools to pay for those $75,000 a year solutions. The whole thing's insane.
Yeah. And so that's how you got to the work you've been doing.
Yes, that's how that's the work I do. I do this because I don't want kids to go through the hell that I went through. And when I looked at the economics of it, the only people that can do this is parents do it. And I just, in California a couple months ago, I came in and I went to a pretty major charity, and I taught over 40 people how to do basic sentences through basic body paragraphs. And I showed them exactly how to do that, so they could do that in their community groups.
Yeah. And when we talk about intersections and leadership, it's a huge part of, a lot of people see gaps and just close it and move on and push through it. I think you turned what was a horrible experience for you into a passion and work and a whole body of work.
Oh, yeah. It's the most advanced student we're working with now for Gen Ed. His name is Grayson. He's not dyslexic in the least. He's in the 99th percentile for math and science. He wants to get his PhD, work at NASA to terraform Mars. So I have to get him published, which you know how much fun that is. So we got to get him past a desk rejection and get rejected by a reviewer. And then we already have a board member who's at one of our top 5 technical universities. At the right time, you'll connect Grayson with the right professor Grayson will go and saying, I got rejected from the journal article. Here's what I need to work on so we can get this accepted. Will you work on with me? The issue is Grayson's on the young side. How old do you think he is?
Grayson, that you just shared about now?
Yes.
I don't know. What grade did you say it was? 5th grade?
I didn't. Well, how old do you think he is? He's on the young side.
Oh, 12?
He's 10.
13. Ooh.
Yes, and I'm not teaching him. I'm training his father to teach him.
Okay.
We literally are. We're literally we're doing advanced body paragraphs, and then we're going right into doctoral level stuff. We use a book called The Craft of Research from the University of Chicago. You're familiar with the PhD process, the dissertation. That's the best book in the field. It's sold over 1 million copies. And those professors, your peers, want me to teach that to high school dyslexic kids. And we finally figured that one out. Oh yes, that your peers came to me after I presented in New York City, and they said, "This is not a joke." They said 2 of your students scored in the 70th percentile, approximately in the GRE from the 8th grade level. We don't care. We want the craft of research. I was like, the craft of what? They said the craft of research. It's a book on how to do a PhD, how to do your doctoral dissertation, sold over 1 million copies. And they wanted me to teach that to high school dyslexic students so they knew it before they went to college. Okay. And they were serious. Only took about another 20 years to figure out, but we do that now.
All right. I love this. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of intro and context for this conversation. I'm so glad we had it. And one of the things that I don't bring, well, when I bring guests, I try to find a little bit of the invisible layers of differences and people that are bringing changes to the system. And so tell us a little bit for, I think for the final session, one of the things I like to do is tie it to your background, your own story, your own identity, which I kind of feel like you already did, right? So for anyone listening now that maybe can relate with your own personal experience when they were younger, your own struggles, whether they are parents or they are students themselves that are navigating learning challenge now with the system. Basically, it's not even with the learning process, it's with how the system is supporting them. What advice do you have for them right now? Not specifically dyslexia now, just overall, and then we're going to go into dyslexia.
Well, what I can tell you is one of the things that got me through this is I eventually got my Eagle Scout. And Scouting America has done something profound. They finally brought boys and girls together. So it's a shared experience. But what I can tell you was going through my project, and what I ended up doing was reconditioning the beach where I live. Okay, I had to completely redo it, had to submit art. It was, I considered kind of like a rite of passage into adulthood. So what I would advise people is join Scouting and get that Eagle. Do your project. And what that did to me is until I was about 25, and it still happened after that, but really big until then, I would go into job interviews that everybody wanted. And then I mentioned, you're an Eagle Scout? And the interview guy was literally like, well, I tried it, but only got the star. What did you do for your project? And I just talked about my project. I didn't say anything about the job opportunity, what it was, anything. And because we talked about that, we went way over, he had to reschedule some things. I got the job. And he said he didn't give it, it's entry level. He didn't give a damn about the traditional, it's entry level. They didn't care. But because I was an Eagle, they could trust me on that. Or I would talk to another guy who got the Eagle. We would just talk about the Eagle project and nothing about what we were going on. And then through that networking thing, I automatically got it. And the military, good grief, they wouldn't let me be for a while. All right. So I'm just saying, join Scouts, get the Eagle. It'll help out like you can't believe.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. And I think is what it also represents is the being able to commit to something and complete it and accomplish it by, I mean, that's what every employer is looking for, right? Forget
It's
about the projects you've worked on. Is can you commit? Can you learn? Can you complete it?
right. But here's the other thing: the project has to be something to enhance the community. All right.
Something
You're
that's
really big into DEI, okay? Into people trying to figure out how do we get into the community. Okay, you understand. So imagine you're in a committee to hire an entry level person, and somebody comes in and said, "Well, I was an Eagle Scout in San Francisco. There were problems with people that had concerns with DEI. I did a project. It has now enhanced that community." And the community said, "Yeah, this helped out a lot. I had to supervise 36 people over 7 weekends, and we
Mm,
did this."
yeah.
That has your attention
Oh
when they're
yeah. I love
22.
that. Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. That's what it's also about the community, because a big part is when you're hiring somebody at the entry level, it's like, do I want to be around this person 10, 12 hours a day? And a lot of times it's no. I have turned down people that look perfect on paper. Oh,
Yeah.
good grief, I don't want to be around that person for more than an hour a day. It'd drive me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what it represents a lot more than it's about you. It's about the community. It's about the
Hmm.
skills or the personality that I can see coming through from you completing that program. Thank you, Russell. And then let's focus on dyslexia specifically now. I would like you to speak to maybe parents
Hmm.
or educators around your work right now who are maybe having kids or students in their classroom that are on a path that needs a different non-traditional learning support. What would you say to them? What are the things to watch out for? How do they connect with you? Maybe there are some quick things that you could share with them right now that they could
Sure,
implement immediately, and then how do
sure.
they
Let
go?
me just tell you what the general model is, and schools aren't going to want to hear this. Dyslectics are academic specialists. Our society wants us to become generalists before we specialize in grad school. Okay. During the intervention period, we have to focus on the kid's speciality, their area of extreme interest or ability. Otherwise, their motivation drops 75 to 90%. It's not going to work. We don't teach from the general to the specific. We teach from the specific to the general. And we teach word analysis followed by articulation. You follow that. I have had parents in under 9 months solve dyslexia, and the kids go into public school and they're just doing just fine. And that's part time. Okay. We take students from basic sentences, show them how to do basic body paragraphs, advanced body paragraphs, and then we literally combine that with a craft of research. And we literally take them all the way through advanced problem statements, how to come up with something where the reader learns something substantial. And that's currently what we're working on with Grayson. This also works for super smart gen ed kids. And if you want to know more about us, the best thing to do is just go to this platform called School, SKOOL.com, SKOOL.com, and just type in dyslexia classes. We have a course for $147 a month that teaches parents how to do this. Our instructor is Angela. She's a certified elementary school teacher with a 2-year master's degree and 11 years of experience. And she teaches her kids, her dyslexic and non-dyslexic kids, this material. And she's there on a weekly basis to answer your questions. And that's the best way we can help parents. And we also have a course for professional teachers, and you'll go through that very rapidly in a matter of hours.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so glad to have this resource in my pocket, in my toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
because again, you are the first guest I've had around this. And I think what you're doing, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for turning a otherwise painful experience and struggle with the system, with the process into a solution that actually works and that is a little bit more accessible. I have a kid with an IEP, so I am in the thick of it with the system. And he's only 6, and I've been in this, so I know exactly how much the system can be a hindrance, can be this very cloudy space where you don't even know what what kind of support your child is getting. You don't know what's going on. And I'm looking forward to sharing these and following up with you as well. Is there anything I have a final question that I like to ask my guests, but is there anything else you want to share or say?
Nope, that's good. What's your final question?
All right. If you were to share a meal with your coworkers, what would you be and why?
What meal would I be?
A meal. If you were to share a meal, like take a meal or snack or something to people that
chicken curry from India.
Ooh, okay. I did not see that coming. I love curry.
I spent a month and a half in India.
Okay.
And what gets me nuts is the southern part of the country is all about vegetarian. And it's not the plastic cakes that we have here. It's really good food. I didn't miss meat at all. And my favorite thing is chicken curry. And there's a local restaurant.
The vegetarian version? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. It's all vegetarian down south. North, they eat meat. India's kind of just, it's not a natural country. It was thrown together by the British. But the curry sauce I really like. I just like the chicken curry.
Yeah, but that's not vegetarian. Did you say?
Oh, it's not. You're right. It's not vegetarian. I'm just saying southern India is vegetarian. I didn't miss it.
I see what you're saying.
Generally, I like to get the chicken sauce when I do it. So what I literally do now is I go there and I order a standard one, then an additional 32 ounces of curry sauce, and I get the high spice one. I take and I freeze with like a very small amount, and then I just cook my own Indian rice. I get the chicken tenders from the store, cook those up in the slow cooker. Then I combine it with the curry sauce, and it's a great way to help lose weight.
Oh, I love that. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I love Indian food, and the spicier the better for me. I'm Nigerian, so my spice tolerance, I like to think it's pretty good. It has changed a little bit, but thank you for sharing that.
Yes, well, yeah, and it works out great. The reason why I get the super spicy is after you nuke it, it goes down to like normal.
It goes down to okay. So you start from there. Oh, well, it was so nice to meet you, Russell. Thank you for the work you're doing. For those listening, please check out the resources will be on the page, and I will have a lot more details added to the show note for this episode in the next couple of months. I think Russell has a couple of things coming down the pipeline as well, as far as resources, and we'll be sharing that. Follow our Substack and follow us on all your platforms. Make sure to share this episode. Thank you for coming, Russell. And thank you.
Thanks for having me.